Hey, Aaron. For our PWAD 363 podcast, you're here with Olive.
And Emma.
And now we're going to dive straight in to our future national security ethical dilemmas. I'm going to go first.
Start us off.
Emma,
Mm-hmm.
let me give you some background. In my future, as we know, I'm a public policy baddie.
Yes.
I like the healthcare industry. So, picture this. I'm in the healthcare industry at a research institute, none other than the National Institute of Health, NIH.
Would you say this is in D.C.?
I don't know, but we'll go with it.
Okay.
If you remember, the NIH is the primary federal agency on conducting research. Big deal. Big dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a scenario I'm going to hit you with. In this position, we're going to assume I'm of higher rank. I'm going to posit this to you in the middle of my career when I assume I'm up a little bit from the rankings,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not that high up, but I'm not doing scut work. So, I hear about a drug or a treatment that's been heavily researched, and it could be pivotal for those who can take it. Imagine it's a cancer-curing drug.
Okay.
Maybe not to that scale, but something like that.
To some scale.
To some scale.
To some scale, it's going to impact the healthcare industry.
Yes. But those who are working on it, maybe they're my peers and friends. Maybe I've never seen this department. They say, no. I'm hearing from my peers and my higher-ups, we can't release this yet. Quote, unquote, further research needs to be done. But word on the street is it's fine. And they're trying to, in the grand scheme, mark up its price because they want to sell it to Big Pharma, the worst.
Not Big Pharma.
They're selling it to Big Pharma. What do I do with this information? And how do I go forward?
So, tell me your options here. You can either, A, give in to corporate greed.
Right.
Or...
Know my place, if you will.
Yes. Or B, is this some kind of leak / whistleblow? Like, are you saying you would go to the public?
That's a good question.
Or would you just maybe, like, report these people who are trying to get you to, like, gatekeep information?
That's what I'm wondering. I think we'll go into depending on the career, but I think my options are, as you said, A, give up and just deal with it. 2, I'm probably going to run my mouth to my higher-ups. Why aren't we doing this? What are we doing about this? Maybe I bug them to the point they say, we're going to fire you if you don't stop. 3, I say, okay, freak you, if you will. I'm actually going to go around you.
To put it lightly.
And maybe I have a journalist friend here or there.
Ooh.
Maybe like an on-the-low leak. On the low. Maybe like little birdie told me type of thing.
Okay.
Maybe I let an investigation begin. Nothing gets leaked yet, but I've opened the door.
Interesting. So I want to hear your different perspectives. I know you started off saying this is like assuming you're in the middle of your career, but walk me through how you would approach this at the different stages in your life.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. So, beginning of my career, obviously, I'm feeling conflicted if this comes up. Obviously, I have the least amount of understanding of bureaucracy at this point in my life, and I don't understand the hierarchy that's going on and where I stand, which is low in this pyramid. So, in reality, I'm more likely to ask my peers and maybe a manager here and there, what is this I'm hearing? What do you guys think? What would you do? Maybe, well, no maybes. That's as far as that goes. In my mind, I'm the least likely to engage in this scenario because I have the most to lose and the least amount of experience.
Yes.
And
bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, if you will.
If you will.
Very early on.
The most financial burden in my life. So, in reality, I'm ranting to a peer about this injustice going on. I'm not doing anything else. Middle of the career, I think it's a toss-up. Genuinely, at this point, I'm imagining a little bit higher up. I'm not that high up, though, because what physically can I be doing? I don't know. I think I would face more worry about how it would be viewed if it was released, if I was in a position where maybe my job is to be the one regulating what gets told to the media or what is coming in and out. And so then, at the end of the day, if it gets leaked, oh my gosh, this company has this drug, that was actually, I don't even know what that was. So in that case, if it's going to be my butt on the line, if it got leaked, released, whatever, that's when I maybe would be like, okay, let me engage. But at the same time, maybe I would be like, I fell into the company's greed. Go ahead.
Now, let me ask you this question.
Okay.
You might not know the answer because I don't know how much you've looked into this leaking, whistleblowing scenario. What is the punishment? Is it just like you're fired situation, or are you like name dropping the specific things they've done in research to the point where they could somehow arrest you or something for, I don't know if that's a thing or not, but
that's a good question. I've not done that much research into what the actual ramifications would be. In my mind, I assume it would be a situation of sweep you under the rug.
Yes.
And come up with, like, we're just going to release you. But maybe they would sue me for trying to steal a patented drug or something, quote unquote, even though all I'm doing is putting people's ears open to it.
Maybe a lawsuit is how they approach that. I'm not really sure how.
Probably like a crippling lawsuit with so much, like, I'm just going to jail instead because I can't pay the $6 million lawsuit.
Or, I don't know if you've been up to date on the conspiracies. Could be a Boeing situation.
To tell you, Erin, if you've maybe seen, the second whistleblower leaker for Boeing has been found mysteriously dead, having been completely healthy his whole life, and he's the ripe age of 45. So there is a chance they just kill me with one of the drugs they have in that department. There's so many options.
Okay.
I will say, to wrap up my end, I think, to put it into the best words, the end of my career, I'm matching I don't care. I'm retiring soon.
Yep.
And either I'm going to try to save the image of the NIH. Maybe. I doubt it. I know myself. I'm not doing that. More than likely, I'm like, you know what? Let me just leak this and leave. And if I get sued, hopefully I have enough money built up. My savings is up and my kids have a college fund that doesn't get crippled. Let me give you a framework.
Yes. Give me a framework that you would use to approach
And then let me
this
give you a
whole
quick,
ordeal.
even though I just spent 7.5 minutes talking.
No, it's okay.
Frameworks I would lean on. I'm looking into my notes. I'm thinking, what really am I thinking? Machiavelli? No. Stay overall. I'm just going to keep myself quiet because at the end of the day, maybe, quote unquote, my superiors know more. That's not how I roll. I think, and maybe I'm misinterpreting Cicero. I think Cicero knows what he's talking about. He's more flexible than some of these other people when it comes to matters of the state. His overall aspiration, and maybe I guess it's a guy, it can't be a girl at this time in life.
I'm assuming it's a guy.
Okay. Overall, his aspiration is that what is absolutely good, you do that when possible, but he recognizes that sometimes in conflict, there's not an easy black and white situation. So, state first with moral compromises if you can get past that, but also sometimes stuff is too far. I feel like he's aware of that. And that's how I feel like I lead my life. So I feel like I would have to just base it on like what I know of my company and my job. What would derail this? Let me tell you.
What would derail you from
Not talking,
Okay.
I think, is how I question this. So I think my decision on talking, not talking would be heavily dependent on what kind of pressure is put on me by superiors to stay quiet. Because depending on genuinely how stable I'm feeling in my job, maybe I would not do it because I don't want to lose my job. I don't know what that's going to be like. I don't know what I'll be like in 30, 40, 20 years. So it's also important to think about in that sense. If I'm getting immediately fired, I don't know that I could do that.
It's a lot of what ifs. Like, as we were kind of touching on a couple minutes ago, we don't know what the actual action most of these companies take.
Right.
Or it might be out there and we just haven't read up on that. But
It definitely probably is. Let's be serious.
But yeah, I understand. It definitely depends on where you're at in your career and how secure you are outside of it.
With secure in mind, tell me about what you think is going to come up for you in the banking realm.
Okay. So riddle me this, Olive.
Okay. I'm riddled.
I'm working for BOFA, B of A, Bank of America, if you will,
Yes.
in their cybersecurity division.
Okay.
But
Tap in.
here's the scenario. Let's say a current intelligence report comes across my desk. We're going to assume that I'm supposed to see this intelligence report. Like I am.
Okay.
I'm able to receive this information. So it's something I do in the day-to-day.
Okay.
And it indicates to me that the bank is at a really high risk, let's say higher than normal risk,
Okay.
for some kind of cyber attack that's going to affect millions and millions of customer accounts. Okay.
Okay.
And so in this report, it says that we're trying to keep this private, locked doors. Because what's going to happen if BOFA customers hear that all their data is at a high risk of being compromised? They're pulling out of that bank.
Exactly.
Switching parties. So bank wants me to obviously keep a shut mouth. But who am I to put millions and millions of people's data at risk?
Right.
So similar to you in a sense, I guess my ethical dilemma is, do I do some form of whistleblow or leak?
Mm-hmm.
And what are the ramifications for that? And I know it kind of depends on where I'm at in my career, but
I do want to say, I don't know the context of the Wells Fargo situation that happened back in the day. When, was it Wells Fargo? Was it Wachovia? It's prior.
Ooh.
Point being, I just feel like at one point people were very skeptical of being a part of its bank.
I feel like Wells Fargo, I mean, a lot of banks have like leaks every so often, but I feel like in the past couple of years, there have been several big Wells Fargo breaches.
Right. And like as a customer, as you were saying, with people are going to get frightened, I am also frightened every day that I have a Wells Fargo account. But risk averse, I'm not that risk averse in this situation. I'm just staying there because I'm too lazy to shift all my stuff out of that account.
Right.
And honestly, I feel like a lot of people would, in that scenario, be the same way. So in that sense, in my mind, if it was me, obviously, again, depending on where you're at in your career, people, it's a bank. People feel like they're maybe, it's not the 1920s anymore when we're scared of the banks. Some are at home, as we know. So I think that's enough for me to say that you could go forward in saying something. Because, like, if people are that frightened, they leave the bank.
Let me walk you through my thinkings throughout my career. Pretty similar to yours, but beginning of my career, I noted here that I think I would be heavily caught in between company politics and wanting to do the right thing.
So real.
As a woman, Southern woman in technology,
love it.
It's already like I'm on a lower playing field than a lot of my colleagues. So it's like, how much do I want to put myself on the line? Am I risking being fired? Is the glass ceiling just going to be lowered and I'm going to be like capped at a certain promotion?
Big on that.
It's just a lot to consider. So I think in the beginning of the career, low-key, I would just end up siding with the company. I don't think that I would be bold enough to go to the public with this information. And I think, let's say this did happen in the beginning of the career and I'm like looking back on my life later, I think I would regret not going out to the public if something were to happen.
But you'd remember the situation.
Yes.
And that's fair because genuinely, when at the beginning when you're trying to see how far you can go, also you're optimistic that you're going to make it far.
Yeah.
And not get stuck. And not maybe even stuck. Maybe you just choose later on that, like, actually, I like where I'm at. I don't need to climb any farther. But the aspirations are always high in the beginning. So, yeah, I can see that being enough to crush any squeamish thoughts of knowing this information and not giving it out. Hit me with the middle of your career.
Yes. Middle of the career. We're assuming at this point I have received a couple promotions. But I think I'm still going to be a little bit cautious about completely turning my back on the bank and leaking their information that they've gathered. I said that I think the outside factors of work would play a bigger influence in here than work itself.
Yeah.
Okay, am I married? Do I have a family? Is ruining my career / potentially going to jail, I don't know, worth it?
That's a tough one.
Like, that sounds selfish, but it's just honestly...
Is it selfish or is it realistic? Because at the end of the day, I don't know that I would classify myself as a martyr.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, my family, I have like 2 kids. They're in middle school.
2.5 kids.
2.5 kids in my white picket fence
Mm-hmm.
in my suburbia life. What do you mean I'm going to jail?
Yeah.
For like 20 years.
Yeah. I don't know. I think in this stage of my career, I would be more open to talking to other people in the bank, whether they're like my friends that are on my level or like superiors in some sense. And maybe I would say, are you willing to do something with me?
Ooh, that's true.
Recruit. Make a little team.
Recruit and then advocate.
Right. But
Smart.
I don't know. Is that somehow worse, trying to turn more employees on the company? I don't know.
I don't think so, but that's just me.
But yeah, just some thoughts there. And then to wrap it up in my end of career timeline, much like you said, I think at this point I would care much less about company politics, work culture, and more about doing something for the public good.
Right.
I think that I would speak out because at this point
What
I've done all I can. I'm assuming I'm older. I'm assuming the kids are grown and
not going to the same bank because obviously that doesn't look good. Mommy just got fired and you wanted a job there.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know, I just think there would be less to lose in the end. And maybe I'm talking to a lawyer. Maybe I'm trying to say, help me figure this out.
Right.
What are the ramifications?
Protect my assets.
Yes, protect my assets. Is there a way to do this anonymously? Or do I have to be the face of this leak?
What are your thoughts on that? Anonymous versus non-anonymous, if you have any. I mean, I guess, again, dependent on the stage of the career. But let's say this is middle, because I feel like everything's a toss-up in the middle of the career.
Hard to say. Like,
you give anonymous energy.
To be a little selfish, I would like to be anonymous and then never find out that it's me. Because
I don't think that's selfish.
Then there's no ramifications.
Right.
But then I also understand that people want to put a face to the leak. And then it's a lot. I feel like it might be more believable if you have someone publicly speaking out.
I agree.
But
maybe that's the grand scheme. You recruit people. Because I was going to say, if it's just you and people know for a fact that you knew and that you had already been stirring up in the office, and then it comes out, they're going to be like, okay, no one technically knows, but everyone in your circle knows. So therefore, you like are low-key blacklisted from your people. But you recruit people, it could be anyone. Fair game. That's the idea.
Just a little food for thought there
On that idea.
Something. And then frameworks that I'd probably employ throughout this scenario. I said when I was looking back on my notes that I would low-key side with Cicero. I'm not sure if that's how you say it or not. But
no idea.
Since you already touched on him a little bit, I was going to say I could also see Kant's perspective coming into play.
Who is Kant?
Another philosopher bro. I feel like his main argument is that morality is a function of goodwill.
Okay.
So when hit with the question of something like, what should I do? He says we should act rationally in accordance with a moral law.
I like that.
So I think that's something that I could rely on that would make me feel less bad about switching up on my company and my people, because I'm doing what at the end of the day I see as for the good of the people.
I agree.
So yeah, that's my POV on him. Some things that could derail my plans from speaking out. Kind of touched on this again, but I think just giving in to the corporate world early on, not wanting to sacrifice my career position, etc. Will I lose my job? Am I blacklisted? Do I have nothing to build off of?
Right.
And then another thing is just, again, thinking about like my outside factors of like my family that would be affected if I were to do this and go on some crazy lawsuit journey.
Because I love to think that I would be the one that would speak out or at least rile the people up. But like
realistically,
am I risking my safe position? I assume safe. I hope I'm in a good spot financially and metaphysically. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one to try to gauge in my mind.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. I don't even know.
I think that was a good wrap up to the semester.
I think it was.
I think that was helpful, kind of applying the stuff we've learned into what might be our daily lives outside of the quote-unquote IC.
I agree. If the IC, if you will.
Yes.
I agree. I think it's a good way to bring it sum it all up into real life. Because obviously it's easy to think about this stuff not in the case of real life and think that it's far away from you. But national security, ethical dilemmas are all around.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even realize. And they could be in our everyday.
Could be.
Well, Emma, I'm going to finish drinking my Celsius, not sponsored.
Yep, I'll keep sipping on my Alani while we're at it.
Tell Erin real quick what kind of Alani you got today.
New flavor. I've never had this one. Quote unquote Kim Aid by Miss Kim Kardashian.
Herself.
I think the vibe is that it's supposed to be like a pink lemonade, but I could be interpreting that incorrectly.
Is it giving pink lemonade?
Low key.
Erin, thank you so much for this class.
Thanks for a great semester. Talk to you soon, hopefully.
Hopefully soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ba-da-da-da-da.
Oh, say...